Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Because we are in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. We want to talk to you guys, but we need to be live for us to do that. So let us know if we are live in the chat. Are we live? Are we live? While Jeff looks at me with a confused look because he doesn't know if we're live or not. He has not signaled us, and we need the chat to do that because Jeff is incapable of letting us know if we're live. Unfortunately. All right, we are live. We are live. The chat is letting us know that we're live. Day one of the Senior Bowl. We just, finished our recap. Just went to the only Radio Shack left in North America that actually sold honey and
Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah, Hot Wheels, but not actually a C to Ethernet cord. Then went to Office Max. And apparently a stupid little cord is $45. I'm Bobby Skinner, Justin Pennick. The football grump. How'd you guys enjoy day one of the practice? It felt like very New York Giants heavy. Like they had a coach on basically every position. They had their contingency here. How'd you guys like day one?
Well, here's first off. We were like talking about are these practices kind of run well? And it's kind of funny how you mentioned how a lot of the Giants coaches are operating as coaches for this.
So I will say I like Joel Thomas as the OC. He's a high energy. He's got them going for the American team.
A lot of run plays.
Mike Kafka, yeah. Mike Kafka's the head coach for the national team, and it was probably one of the more slow-paced practices I've seen in the Senior Bowl. And I've been here for some Brian Flores ones, which are fun. So it wasn't like the exact energy you want. Hopefully they picked that up in day two. But I was looking to see like what Mike Kafka was doing and stuff. And he was very much kind of just like going from position group to position group, checking it out. But I don't want to judge him because this is about the other coaches coaching up and stuff, and what they're doing in meetings and stuff. But I was trying to like get a grasp on what Mike Kafka would look like as a head coach, and to me, it looked like someone who was just kind of walking between groups, just watching what every other thing that was happening. But yeah. I can't judge a fucking Mike Kafka's head coaching possible career off that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like judging anybody, all the players we're going to talk about, everything off of just today is kind of silly. To completely judge them and make like a declaratory statement about their careers is pretty wild.
I just thought it was funny that we have like this general feeling of like, I don't know. It was kind of slow. And that's a lot of Giants coaches out there.
There is a direct correlation to like the energy being put out by the coaches and then the practice being run. And it was a very down tempo practice. We'll see if it picks up over time or if, that requires Mike Kafka to be doing something different or not. I mean, maybe not.
Yeah. Cause you brought up this point in the recap video, Bobby, where like, this isn't necessary. You're not like full. You got to install some stuff for the Senior Bowl game that's being played later in the week. But at the end of the day, this is still a showcase. And, you got to let these guys show off what they got.
This is a pet peeve I'll always have with the Senior Bowl or any All-Star game is just cut out the special teams from the game.
Well, I mean, like
they spend so much time practicing special teams.
It is a huge chunk of time is being spent on like punts and kicks, but like. I don't think you can cut it out because you got long snappers here, you got punters and kickers, and I don't know if there's a direct correlation.
Let those three go out, practice it, and we're good. No, obviously we're being a little facetious.
A little bit, but like it's a chunk of time. It's a lot as special teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of time standing around. They did like half speed 11 on 11 too. So this is the Giants channel, so we can talk a little more casually and we can talk specifically about quarterback. If you were hoping to come out of this day one of the Senior Bowl and get like, man, one of these quarterbacks makes me feel really good. Definitely did not get that.
But not because of poor performance, just because nothing was exciting. Right?
I feel like you guys are giving these guys too much grace for not. Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart did not throw the ball downfield at all. I understand that they're maybe not running the most aggressive stuff in the world, but like neither one of those guys had a play that wowed me. And any 11 on 11 play, there wasn't a single play that wowed me, right? There's, that Canadian quarterback in the early practice, at least there's a play that wowed me, despite the fact that it's like, okay, he's not ready for 11 on 11 NFL football. But like, there's just, give me some type of wow play or escape and make a throw. Instead, they had some checkdowns and they missed some checkdowns.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback that did help him.
Gabriel made plays, but at the same time, Gabriel's a 5'10" quarterback.
And I hate dancing around this. Like when we come down here at the Senior Bowl, or if we're talking like the combine or whatever. Like I hate dancing around like, oh, this quarterback did himself the most favors. I will just here. Dylan Gabriel had the best practice today. I don't know if that means that he did himself the most favors. Him measuring in at 5'10" certainly doesn't do himself any favors. But Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback that looked the best today. Will that change tomorrow? We shall see. But I mean, you're probably gonna, if you look up Dylan Gabriel's name on Twitter, and I recommend you do if you want to see some quarterback plays. I mean, there are guys that, two big plays down the field that, our Miami tight end, Arroyo dropped.
Yeah,
and
Elijah Aurora. That was.
Which, I mean, still, like, Arroyo got open down the field, and Arroyo is now entering, like, hey, I was eavesdropping on some of the stock exchange guys like Trevor Sycamore and that crew. And they're talking about, Arroyo creeping up to maybe tight end 3 in this class. And that's the type of day one that he had. So excited to see how he does. He ran like a nice stick and nod during 1v1s, but that was he was the first practice. That was a Dylan Gabriel ball over the middle of the field that he dropped. And then there was a Xavier Restrepo on the sideline, dropped kind of like a hole shot, and Dylan Gabriel put a really nice ball down there. So Dylan Gabriel, out of all the quarterbacks, had the best day, but also he, in terms of the national team competition that he has at quarterback, it's not very good at all. I mean, it's, the Canadian quarterback that, we're excited to see, and then Tyler Show from Louisville. It definitely the American roster in the afternoon has Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, and Seth Hennigan from Memphis. So I really wish that maybe they would have loaded the American roster up so much to see all those guys go up against each other, but alas, they did not. So Dylan Gabriel is inevitably going to stand out and look better than the other two guys that he's going up against.
And I think the difference is that the quarterbacks didn't have a bad day. Like I can't sit here and criticize them as like, oh man, these throws were too short, they were too late. They just weren't making the throws. So like, it's not a positive.
Gabriel did.
Gabriel is the one that did. Everybody else just didn't throw the ball. They were checking things down. I don't want to see that going forward, but I can't sit here and say that they had we've seen bad quarterback play down here. And I didn't see that. I just didn't see anything that drew any kind of excitement whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was more boring than anything watching the quarterback.
Tomorrow, I want to focus on some of the wide receiver cornerback one-on-ones, because we get the film of the O-line, D-line one-on-ones. You can watch it after.
Everything on that.
And I was a little pissed off that they put it on the fall. You couldn't even see the guy's feet. No Diddy. That, because the way they put them on the field. But I want to see the way Jalen Milroe throws the ball in one-on-ones. Jackson Dart throws the ball in one-on-ones. Like there's some tweets out there saying like at one point Jalen Milroe was 0 for 8 in one-on-one drills. Like that's a little concerning.
Not very good.
Yeah.
But the day was headlined by the O-line and D-line and the fronts.
Yeah. At the end of the day, especially with quarterback, these 3 days shouldn't move the needle huge one way or the other.
The interviews, man.
But I wanted to come away. I want to come away from these practices like these are one of the 3 best QB. Like again, like we talked about it on Talking Giants. My 3 best QB performances since doing this for 5 years. Mac Jones was the best in 2021. Michael Penix was the second best last year to me. And then Malik Willis or Spencer Rattler, and their years would be 3. I want to be like, okay, do better than the Malik Willis, Spencer Rattler. So it's day 2, day 3, things can change. But
well, I mean, I just wanted to answer some questions about Dart and Milroe, and I come away not answering any questions. I don't know if they're better or worse after today. Is really all I'm coming. There were some days where you watch this, and you're like, oh, this guy doesn't belong. Like I can see it already. It's not a fit. Maybe there's a huge turnaround 5 years down the line or something like that, and he becomes a backup quarterback. But Dart and Milroe answered 0 questions today for me.
Yeah. So what do you got?
Before we talk about O-line, D-line, because this comment about Research Rick was talking really all day about how Joe Shane was talking with a lot of the national reporters. So maybe we'll pivot before we go O-line, D-line. And, we talked a lot about that stuff on the recap, which I'll put that link in here at the end of the stream. But Joe Shane was here. Brian Dable's here. Didn't really see Brian Dable on the field. They were kind of all up in the suites. You saw Tim McDonald.
Almost ran him over this morning.
We almost did run up him and Shea Tierney over on the road this morning. I tried to roll down my window because I don't know what I was going to yell, but my fight or flight kicked in. Like, like who was the one who said it? Was it Jeff?
Me.
Oh, it was you. So it was Bobby's like that's Ryan Dable's Shea Tierney. My instinct was I went to the window, and I don't know what I was going to do. but
Bobby
I was
tried to
going
jerk the wheel.
I was,
Next-
I was
Tomorrow
going
we
to yell
should
something.
try and go at the same time, and you could just
Same
bark.
place.
No, you like out the window like.
I don't know what I was going to yell something. I don't know what it is. I would have loved to see what my body and mind came up with. Yeah, but I mean, so yeah, he had the typical guys who did. Was Brandon Brown here?
I would assume so. I didn't see him.
Yeah, I didn't
specifically, but
see him specifically because a lot of people like to know who's here, who's not here, et cetera.
I would
I
assume
thought
that-
I heard Rick say that he saw him here, but maybe I'm
and also
hallucinating.
maybe stay for the last day of senior Shrine Bowl practice. So, anyways,
All
they
right,
they
so-
have their whole contingency here.
So let's get. I mean, I know you don't. We don't really like to do this, but why not?
What are we talking about?
Let's entertain it. Let's get a little conspiracy theory.
Mm,
You saw Joe Shane talking with Albert Breer,
yes.
and then I saw him talking with Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, and these conversations went on for like 20 minutes, and then they all walked away from each other. I don't know, and I don't remember if that's typical for Joe Shane to do. Let's put our conspiracy brain caps on. What are they talking about?
I don't know what Joe Shane is saying, but my conspiracy brain says I know what Albert Breer and Mike Garafolo and Ian Rappaport are doing. They are saying,
What are you trading?
saw those videos with Shador Sanders at the Shrine Bowl. How do you guys like about him? How do you guys feel about him? What do you guys think about his whole deal? That's I 100% know that. It's I think we're putting the focus on like, oh, Joe Shane's talking to those guys. Maybe he's trying to get someone like he has contact. I think it's more so is the Giants at pick 3 right now are in the ultimate like, what are you gonna do
Right.
spot, and the national reporters are going up to him and wanting to talk to him about it because you saw him talking to Rappaport, and all of a sudden Garafolo, swarms in with him. So I think we're putting the emphasis on, is Shane trying to buy favor with the national media, which they all do, but I view that a little more as like those guys are trying to get a sense on what Shane is.
They're
doing.
working a scoop.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like the Giants are trying to hide their contacts with Shador Sanders at all. I mean,
it's
Rick
a,
saw
it's a
it
very
posted
there's
about
so many breadcrumbs leading between the Giants and Shador Sanders.
it's a very bad secret.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whether it's a secret or smoke, it's up in the air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I agree with Bobby. I think that they're leaving these breadcrumbs for these situations.
All right, so there you go. That's your Joe Shane. What is Joe Shane doing? What is Brian Dable doing? Brian Dable had binoculars, so it was very funny. So I shot Brian Dable in the suites.
You shot Brian
with
Dable?
what?
Now, I like with the camera.
Okay.
Because
That's a crazy bullet.
I go all the way up towards the top of the stands, where kind of nobody else is. And then my little Canon camera actually does very well. And it was funny as that Canon, yeah. And not shooting like with the Canon,
Okay.
but like as I was shooting Brian Dable,
Justin has a camera gun. Someone asked.
but as I was shooting Brian Dable, metaphorically, he had binoculars on, so it looked like he was looking at me.
Oh.
I was looking at him, and I gotta
Maybe
take
he
that
was
back.
shooting you. You just didn't know.
Just went full Luigi.
I'm gonna screen record the when I was shooting Brian Dable. I'm gonna quote tweet that picture we had yesterday.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the trenches? We focused
Yes.
on the trenches a lot today, and for good reason, from a Giants perspective, but also for good reason from a Senior Bowl perspective. There's a ton of talent in the trenches this year.
This is where the talent is. In past years, talked about this on Talking Giants. In past years, it's been O-line really dominates the D-line, and especially the edge class, really disappointing. Some interior guys stand out on the D-line, but this year I feel like they really leveled the playing field of you have the O-line, the interior guys, the tackles, and then also you have, the edge guys and the defensive guys that are going to get after it. And they did today.
Yeah, it's the D line again. I think sometimes I come into the Senior Bowl, I'm like, this guy's a good player. I think he should beat the shit out of everybody all the time, and that's not real life. But I'm just as intrigued as with all these D linemen, right? Deion Walker. We talked a lot about him on the recap video.
We're not going to stop.
And it's like there's Shamar Stewart. I'll tell you, like, I don't love Shamar Stewart. I don't think he's a first round level player. And I know we're talking to the Giants specific, so he won't be that pick for them. But the way he's viewed at, I don't see me ever being Shamar Stewart's this top 20 player guy. I just don't. With Deion Walker, as much as like he can be frustrating sometimes, I'm like, that guy can be great though. I can be talked into the way that guy could be great. And it's a little frustrating at times when it's just like, dude, you're losing the guys you shouldn't lose to. And when you show what you're actually capable of, you do it really well and you want to see more of it. But I really like Omar Omar Norman Lott out of
Right.
Tennessee. He's somebody we talked about on the preview on today's podcast. He was my last watch before we got here because he has such a little snaps. I'm like, all right, I can get down. I could get his profile done before I get here. And he was the guy who I thought popped the most consistently. A shorter guy. We know that they can work with that and can use those guys. He's obviously get like a lot bigger than an Elijah Chapman, so he can play a little more of a full-time role, even though he didn't even play a full-time role at Tennessee. So I thought he popped off consistently. Like Walter Nolan had some ups and downs. So even though I don't view any of these guys who are projected first, early seconds in the D-line pass rush group, I don't think any of those guys had these great, outstanding performances. I'm just as intrigued with them going into the next 2 days than as I was going into today.
The tools are all there. I mean, everyone you mentioned has some sort of trait or tool that makes them special and that got them this far to begin with. Deion Walker, I mean, I love watching videos of him hit bags, but bags aren't people. And he stands too tall when he rushes, and he's got things he needs to correct. So am I out on Deion Walker after one day? Absolutely not. I mean, this is where I want to see. Today is the day where you see all the flaws, right? The difference is by Thursday, have any of those flaws moved in any direction at all? Are you improving? Are the coaches able to coach things out of you? That sort of thing. I want to see some progress. It's okay to have flaws this far in. Yeah, I mean, Deion Walker can be astronomical. I mean, he's gigantic. He's like 6'7" and 350.
He's strong.
He moves really fluidly, but you put him in front of people and he just stands at a full 6'6" and gets stonewalled.
Yeah. Justin, why don't you talk to us about something?
I will talk to you about something. Corona has sent us to Mobile, Alabama this year. Kind of crazy, kind of fun, kind of exciting that coming here the last couple of years is the first year that we have a sponsor attached to it. So thank you to Corona. This Senior Bowl trip is brought to you by Corona. You know what? I always try to be a fan that never loses. And what do I mean by that? My football team doesn't win every week. Our football team doesn't win every week, but we're winning down here in Mobile, Alabama. And even if you aren't here physically with us, you're here emotionally with us. And that's a W within itself because there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with some awesome moments. How about Corona? How about it? Corona is all about finding the max amount of joy within every moment of the game, win or lose, at home or on the road, or even back at that Airbnb where we have some Coronas in the fridge. So cheers to everyone who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona for the fans who never lose. Get yours at ordercorona.com. You will be glad you did.
You're glad you did.
You'll be glad you did.
Okay.
Okay.
Gonna pay attention to the wide receiver a little more. So there's a tackle who, since we're on the Giants one, we could talk about a guy like, Armand Imbo, who didn't practice today. Probably not going to go to the Giants.
Illness.
But tackle is a need for the Giants, even if you want Jermaine. I'm cold. Jermaine Illuminor to be the starter next year. You need to start planning for the future at right tackle. I really like Anthony Belton from NC State. He's 6'5", 345, so a bigger guy. And we'll talk about Gray's.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said, I thought you meant North Dakota State.
Yeah, Anthony Belton from NC State. He just did he swallowed up Mike Green. He did a good job. He moved well for that size. Looked like he had a good balance. I think he may be my first all right, I watched at the Senior Bowl. Let me go pop on your film and see what you look like. And Justin, you fell in love with Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State.
Yeah, Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I mean, he was a tackle, came in as a tackle for North Dakota State this past year, but played guard and center today during individual 1v1s. That's the offensive lineman that, maybe the guy that not everybody fully knew coming in. That's the guy that I feel like the Senior Bowl people here are really talking about, tweeting about, and all that jazz. So Gray Zabel, you have the line, and I talked about this on the recap, Jam Football. I just linked it in the chat. You have the line, kill the will, where there would be times where, the ball snapped and O-line, D-line drills, they're inevitably designed for defensive linemen to get an edge and to maybe get an initial win. But what Zabel was able to do is he was able to clamp down, and you can eventually take a screenshot of that rep and of that play and be like, this is how you do it. As an offensive lineman, this is perfect technique. He's got his hands in the right place. He's balanced. He's square. He's level. All that shit, all that jazz. So really, Zabel really did impress. He looks better at guard, center. He looked good, and there was no, he didn't even have a play where he quote unquote considered that he lost, but that just goes to show how comfortable he looks at guard and how well he dominated at guard.
Yeah, and we know the interior is a big need for the Giants to continue to build on and try and build out depth. And it seems like every I don't know if there's any guard here where it's like coming in, it's like, oh, this guy's a top 100 prospect. It seems like it's a big tackle move to guard year. Bro.
Yeah, well, so that's what I was going to say. I agree with Justin. Gray Zabel blew away a lot of people down here. I mean, it was like every person that sat down next to me and, was just, oh, how you doing? Whatever. Man, Gray Zabel. Like, that was like all day today.
Yep.
But he moved from tackle to guard, I have to assume, because he has incredibly short arms. I think they're like shorter than some cornerbacks. If I remember right, I think they're like around 31 inches or something like that.
That's cool.
So I think he's inside forever. And I kind of agree with Bobby. I think if the Giants want to attack this offseason correctly, they need to start building depth around their franchise guys. And their franchise guys are Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas. Mm-hmm. We can't have another season where if Andrew Thomas misses 2 games, we're the worst team in the NFL. That just can't happen anymore. And honestly, with Andrew Thomas sustaining injuries every single year, they have to start thinking about the fact that he may not survive his entire contract.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I liked Anthony Belton. I liked Gray Zabel a lot. I also really like the idea of Josh Connerly. I know that he's only played on the left side. Oregon tackle Josh Connerly Jr. I thought that he was the best tackle specifically here today. Gray Zabel may have been the best offensive lineman. That's probably true. But I think tackle specifically, Josh Connerly, outstanding footwork, really, really quick feet too to get to his spot on time. He can get beat inside sometimes, but I mean, we see that kind of thing all the time. I think that if for whatever reason Josh Connerly is hanging around the second round, which I don't expect to happen, getting somebody like that to back up Andrew Thomas, possibly play on the right side when Jermaine Illuminor probably leaves in free agency after this next year, not a bad idea to replenish the trenches this kind of way.
Yeah.
So I want to talk through a tweet right now. So who are winners of the Senior Bowl Day 1 national offense, defense, and then American offense, defense? So I put Gray Zabel for national team offense. I put Tennessee defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott for American defense. Who are the winners for the American offense and the national defense?
Ty Felton.
Other way around.
American offense.
American offense. Ty Felton is on the. So he's the winner of the day for the
winner
American
of the day on the offense
for just the American team.
Yeah, just the American team.
I mean, who else did anybody on that offensive line really
I was
stand
going to
out?
say Willie Lampkin, the UNC center. I mean, at 5'10", this is going to be like the worst sales pitch of all time. But he's a late addition here. I don't think anyone expected anything from him. And we were talking about Deion Walker on guys he should have beaten. I think he lost to Willie Lampkin all 3 times they went 1v1, which is unacceptable for Deion Walker. But it says a lot about Willie Lampkin and him being here, belonging here. So, I mean, that's the best I've got from the American offense.
I was wondering what that guy was going to look like.
I think it's Ty Felton.
That could be. Yeah,
I'm trusting your judgment on that. I'm going to go Maryland, and hey, I'm a Ty Felton guy, so I'm happy to tweet that one out. So Maryland wide receiver Ty Felton. So who would be the winner of like? And I'm not saying just like flat out best player, but like did the most for them too. On national team defense.
National team.
The national team defense.
Cam Jackson. I mean, that I'm going O-line, D-line.
That's American defense.
I'm sorry, American national defense. National defense.
Is it one of those defensive tackles?
Jamari Caldwell had a really nice day, 242 pounds. Quincy Riley had one good play. I don't know if we can call him the winner.
There was 2 defensive tackles. You just mentioned Jamari. That was the Oregon one. Who's the other one?
Peebles
from
Virginia Tech. Peebles. Should we put him in there?
But he didn't really stand out. He had maybe some solid
some splash plays,
but he had more of a. I mean, I think Jamari Caldwell was the guy that kind of really stood out.
So Oregon?
More. Yeah.
All right, Oregon.
Maybe there's a corner. I feel bad if there's like a corner that we're missing there.
No, on the American team, I think you have Billy Bowman from Oklahoma and Cam Jackson from Florida on the defensive line.
Let me see his name, so I could do the tweet.
Is this Jamari Caldwell?
Yeah.
I have 2 stars next to him. 342 pounds, baby. He kind of looks bigger
than 342 pounds.
Yes.
I don't even know what to imagine.
Well, I mean, I think we've been spoiled with like Devondre Sweat down here last year.
That's true. Who weighed in at like question mark.
Yeah. Hey, he was good. He was. Hey, we talk about someone when we're like, sometimes we come in here and want some guy just to dominate every play. Devondre Sweat was that last year.
But he is what like that in the Deion Walker should have been. Maybe Devondre Sweat kind of spoiled.
Honestly, it's Deion Walker should be better than Devondre Sweat because he has more athleticism and more juice. He has way more juice as a pass rusher. Sweat can win as a pass rusher. He can't finish at the QB. Deion Walker should. So,
Yeah.
Can we talk about us being first guy in, last guy out? I mean, we're up at 5 a.m. at the Mobile Convention Center, 6 a.m. And at what time is it now? It's at 5:30 p.m. So we've been
it's cold. We went through the whole seasons right here. It was cold this morning, got warm, and now it's cold again. And
I'm dying in this country ass fucked up town.
I thought we were talking about tackles. The American team, Kansas tackle
I have
Logan
a note
Brown. I don't have. I had no film of him prior to this, so I didn't know what to expect. I wanted to watch him. He had a couple of really good reps today, so he did catch my eye. I'm hoping to focus on him like a little bit more closely tomorrow and the day after. Although I do want to watch wide receivers DBs tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's another guy of mine. Like, all right, let's go watch him after the Senior Bowl and see what he is. Let's see. We'll go for about 5 more minutes. How about that? Does that work?
How about that?
I feel like I'm getting sick. It's so cold right now.
It's not that cold.
It's not very cold. We're also coming from New Jersey, where it's been 2 degrees for the last.
It's cold, but
weeks.
I mean,
I was a little disappointed in Marshall Edge Mike Green. I'm happy that he didn't just come here and just do his bread and butter of just running around tackles. I can't stand when people do that. But he didn't really win when he threw his power in there. So I'm hoping to see that change by the end of the week from Mike Green, because he's a really exciting player to watch when you put on his film.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's projected to be a first rounder. Like, and I feel like not just like by a couple people. Like, seems like everybody kind of loves Mike Green.
Well, the general consensus for this class too is that there's no elite tier, but there's a ton of very good tier guys. So like guys you would probably grade in the second round are going to be definitely creeping into the first round.
I'm getting tired of the whole.
Do we say this every year?
We were having a conversation with Chris Rose. I don't think he might have said this. We were having a conversation with Chris Rose for football today. And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, this is a class that not a lot of talent. Like, there's
only 9 first round grades.
Like, all right, like I feel like we do this every year, man.
Oh, maybe. I mean, it's not me saying it.
No.
I certainly didn't watch everybody.
I'm like, all right. Well, there's at the end of the day, there's 32 fucking first rounders.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you have guys with 9 first round grades, there's going to be somebody 10th that you're going to take in the first round, and you're gonna so they're going to be seen as a first rounder. So I'm kind of tired of the whole. Oh well, this draft is top heavy. Blah blah blah.
I also think picks 20 through 40 are somewhat interchangeable. Like I think the margin difference there is minimal.
Like it's actually kind of crazy that I feel like as a fan base, do you get more excited when you have pick 35 or if you have pick 24? I feel like
35.
I feel like you get more excited if you have pick 35.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because you get the player that everyone in the first round overthought.
Yeah, exactly. Landon Collins,
Xavier McKinney.
Yep.
Johnny Newton.
Wandale Robinson.
Deion Branch.
Brian Branch or Deion Branch?
Oh, Brian Branch.
Deion Branch is Super Bowl MVP.
He is. Joey Porter.
Joey Porter did not play as good in the second half this year as he did the first half. And listen, I'm a Joey Porter agenda guys, but it is what it is.
Yes, we did the read. Jeff
just talk, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Jeff texted me. All right, do we want to wrap this up? Because I mean, really, everything that we want to talk about, we talked about on our recap video, which I'm putting that link again. Watch this or else.
Go talk. Yeah, go listen to recap. Are we going to the Mexican restaurant tonight?
I would like to go to the Mexican restaurant tonight.
Okay.
I would like to. I mean, it's only 5:30 here.
Yeah, it's only crazy.
If we find out the actual name of this restaurant, don't tell anyone it. I think it needs to remain like a thing.
Right? Oh, I've already.
Can I be honest? The PFF guys, I don't know. Again, I was eavesdropping everything they were saying. They were talking about a Mexican restaurant.
There are a lot down here.
But they're not talking about our Mexican restaurant. They're not grimy like us.
No, because they probably go to the city.
That's true.
Like we don't touch.
No more hints.
We don't do that.
Yeah,
that's how you network.
We're in like a used to be a gas station and a strip mall Mexican restaurant. Yeah. That's the best Mexican food.
Yeah, that's what we've been told. Oh yeah, well that's how you.
I hope we're not hyping it up so much that we get there. It's like not as good as last year, but it's going to be good.
They fired the one cook,
and we got to make sure we have the right place too, because we did forget the name of it.
Yeah, we did forget the name. Yeah, but seriously.
Oh, you know what I can do? I can look at my photos from last year because I have pictures, and you can see the location.
Oh, but seriously,
did you take a picture there?
Watch this or else. JM Football Day 1 recap. 27 minutes, nice, high and tight. It's on podcast versions for you too, for if you want JM Football or Football Today. It's called. I know that's a little confusing, but watch it on YouTube. That would be great. We do a better job of recapping everything there.
I do. I want, before we end the stream, I do want to see if we have the picture of the Mexican restaurant.
Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you and your families are well, Dave Gettleman says.
And I'm a Mexican restaurant guy too, by the way.
And we're going to be streaming earlier tomorrow.
Dan Behan said that the picture you took this morning of the four of us, that he like zoomed in on me and said, if Jersey was a person.
I don't have a picture of the Mexican food. Oh, I do have a picture. Look, I got the location.
Oh my God, the whole table is filled with food.
Oh yeah, it was
Every
epic.
square inch of that table.
It was very epic. Can't wait for it tonight.
Adjust location. All right, I have the address.
Wonderful. All right, are we done?
Yeah,
Is
we're
that a
done.
show?
All right.
We'll see you on. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Go watch the recap. Until then, and watch the Senior Bowl preview. Dude, get those numbers up. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue. We'll see the name of the place.